Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the third African Aviators Webinar, part of the African Aviators Webinar Series powered by Embraer. My name is John Howell. I am the founder and CEO of AviaDev Africa. We are a platform dedicated to developing air connectivity to, from, and within Africa, and also the host of the AviaDev Insight Africa podcast, the only podcast dedicated to African aviation. A massive thank you up front to our sponsors, Embraer, who without them, this wouldn't be possible. You can probably see I've got the shirt on, I've got the models behind me as well. And there will be a chance later to actually win your own model as part of our live quiz if you're with us today. So thank you to everyone who is joining us live. Before I introduce our panel, my fellow hosts, and we get into the main conversation, I'd just like to go through the housekeeping. So this is a webinar. We are on Zoom and we are on Facebook. That means that all of you attending will not have access to your microphone and your video. But if you want to make a comment, ask a question, put it in the chat. I'm watching that and we'll ask those once we've got through the main topics that Chidozie and Derek want to cover today. So get involved. You can also, if you're on Facebook, you can comment there as well, and you can take part in the quiz, whether you're live here or you're on Facebook as well, and that will happen in about an hour's time. So make sure you hang around. So in terms of the format, we're going to introduce the panel, and then we're going to have some Q&A that Chidozie and Derek have provided, and then we'll obviously ask your questions too. The quiz will take place live. It's a live leaderboard, so there's no room. There's no, we'll know exactly who's winning and who's answered the questions correctly. And there's some great prizes, which I actually have down here. There is a Profit Hunter model available, a small one, but also a big 1:100 scale Embraer E2-195 as well. Okay, so that's the housekeeping done. So what I want to do is I want to introduce my co-hosts. So I'm going to bring Derek onto the stage. Derek, if you want to start your camera. So Derek Nesko is the founder and publisher of Airspace Africa. This is a dedicated online publication for African aviation. If you don't, go over to the website and subscribe to his newsletter and follow him on LinkedIn and all the other platforms, because he's a great source of information. Derek's work in media is both written and broadcast. He speaks at CNBC Africa. He also contributes to various magazines, and he works very closely with me here at AviaDev as well. He is also a qualified commercial pilot, and he is inspiring a next generation directly in South Africa and around through his iFly Academy, which is one and has been recognized recently by ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization. So he's a busy man, and it's great for him to be with us here on a Saturday. So welcome, Derek. Good to have you.
Thanks a lot, John, for having me, and happy to be here again. I'm very excited about the session. Yeah,
me too. Me too. This is a really cool session. Okay, and you just seen him a minute ago because he got a bit eager, and he already popped up on the screen. But here's Chidozie. So Chidozie Uzoezie is a familiar face, I'm sure, to so many of you on the webinar. He is our great grandfather of the African Aviation Group on Facebook, which is just an incredible platform. Over 260, is it 270,000 now, Dozie? How many have we got? When did you last check?
260,000.
260,000
Facebook is messing up with the growth. Yeah.
Which is amazing. And obviously we're live on that group on Facebook right now. And that group is providing insight, education, conversation, debate. It's a brilliant place. And that's, I'm sure, how you all know about today's session. Chidozie also is an analyst, an aviation analyst. He's a qualified av geek. He's a prolific content creator. He's a newspaper columnist. And he does so much more for African aviation. So welcome, Chidozie. Great to have you on board.
Thanks, John. I'm glad to be here.
Perfect. Right. Well, you're going to kick us off and introduce our first guest. So over to you, Chidozie. Over to you.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Chidozie, like you've been told already. John has done all the hyping. We're back again for the third edition of the African Aviators Webinar. We're looking at topic cabin crew today. Thanks to Embraer for showing commitment and leadership for some of these programs. Today, I would love to go ahead and introduce one of the panelists. But before I do, I'd love to say a great thank you to the captain on this flight, which is John Howell, and my co-pilot, Senior First Officer, Derek Insoko from South Africa. I am the General First Officer. So welcome on board. But we're not going to clash today, trust me. In the spirit of ladies first, I'd love to introduce somebody you know very well already. Her name is Joy Ogbebo, known as Mamaj, popularly known as Mamaj. If you don't know Mamaj already, I am in the industry. I mean, it shouldn't be the industry if you don't know Mamaj already. She's one of those who are actually more popular than Boeing 747. You know what I'm talking about. She's as popular as that. So Joy is the founder of Mamaj Aviation Consult Limited. She's an aviation consultant, an aviation career development advocate. She's an aviation blogger and mentor. She's the founder of Mamaj Aviation Mentorship Academy. She's the convener of the popular and annual cabin crew fair in Lagos, as well as the Explore Aviation Career Conferences in Lagos too. She's been in the industry for almost 30 years. So if you're listening to us, if you're watching us, you know that by the time she began her career, she probably were not born. So much more respect to you, Mama J.
Thank you.
She's been a flight attendant for several airlines, including Okada Airways, Discovery Airways, Virgin Nigeria, and a few others. Her passion and mission in this world is to groom the next generation of aviation professionals all over Africa. She joins us from Lagos. Good afternoon, Joy. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Uzoezie, for having me again.
How is Lagos today?
Lagos is fine. It's a warm day.
I can see you're looking so fun as usual.
Thank you very much.
What's the secret behind your beauty? Tell us.
Once a cabin crew, there's this
always a cabin crew.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, Joe. I'll hand over the control to my co-pilot, Derek. Derek, you have control now for the rest of the panelists.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dozie. I have control. I almost wondered if it was a different forum there when you were speaking to Joy. Yeah, brilliant, and yeah, it's good to see you, Joy, as well. I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy as well to introduce our next panelist, Hope Lesejo Mmutlana, who is from Pretoria in South Africa. Hope, how are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, so Hope was very happy to find her niche in the aviation industry, she says. So in 2014 is when her journey really started, and she joined the South African flag carrier, South African Airways. So flying has not always been a job for her. She says it's always been a passion. As a flight attendant for SAA, she spent 16.5 years soaring the skies and traveling around. So the service, because the service industry is ever evolving, she also had to evolve with it. Those are her own words, which meant going the extra mile and learning about travel and different cultures. So with the pandemic having brought change in the aviation industry, she had to adapt to the new way of doing things, and she moved on from the cabin. She's currently studying a diploma in digital marketing and copywriting, and has opened her very own travel agency. She's reinvented herself as an entrepreneur. Her travel agency is called Archer Travels and Evolution Travel. And she's been running Hope Travels as well, which is registered both in the United States and in South Africa. Impressive stuff, Hope. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, was a cabin crew member for 16.5 years. And when COVID hit, I had to reinvent myself. And so I started Hope Travels with the help of Evolution Travel and Archer Travel. So it has been quite a journey.
Yeah, and we're going to hear a lot more about that. I'm very excited to ask you about how that transition happened and how your journey is currently going, even after the cabin crew. But yeah, we're mostly interested in knowing about your cabin crew journey and your experience at South African Airways. Yeah, and now that brings me to our next panelist, who I'm very happy to introduce to all of you as well. Enoch Wabuyi is from Uganda, like myself. So I'm very excited to have him here. He's a qualified cabin crew who says he's got a lot of passion in the aviation industry. Enoch completed his IATA airline cabin crew training course from the Uganda Aviation Academy in 2020, where he passed his IATA exams with a distinction. Before joining the aviation industry, Enoch studied business administration at Nkumba University in Uganda and is currently working with an NGO called the Kibo Group as he awaits his dream career in the aviation industry as a cabin crew. So although COVID has hit the industry hard, he says he's optimistic that there are more opportunities coming up soon. And I'm certain he will get his chance in the industry as well. Welcome, Enoch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Derek, for this opportunity. And thank you, the webinars, for this such a wonderful and amazing opportunity. Super excited and ready to share my experience.
We're happy to have you, and we can't wait to hear your story as well, Enoch. From then on, I'd like to pass the controls back to Chidozie, Uzoezie. Uzoezie?
I would love to kick off this webinar with Enoch. Enoch, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me, Enoch?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
All right. Thanks for joining us today from Uganda. I would love to know, first of all, there are so many things you could have become in the industry, but you chose to become a cabin crew. What is it about cabin crew that made you fall in love with the profession? What is your story? Enoch, tell us your story, please.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And first and foremost, my passion and dream was to become a cabin crew from way back when I was a young kid. And I went to school next to the airport, which was really amazing. We had pilots that came through to also inspire us that even though you've not gotten to do science subjects, you can still join the aviation sector in one way or the other, and you can start as a cabin crew, which I didn't know that I would be able to do that if I didn't have like a science subjects on my like academic transcript. So I was super excited to see that hope that came my way, and I was excited to join. I came back, I told my parents about it, and I was so passionate to deliver excellent customer care services to the whole world and to be somebody who is social and excited to share good and qualified
cabin crew.
Good and qualified services.
Hello, can you hear me, Enoch? Hello, can you hear me?
Uzoezie?
I was able to join the
I think we're having a challenge with Enoch there.
In Uganda, where hello, can you hear me? Hello?
I think we're having some challenges with your audio. Can you hear me, Enoch?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Right, please go ahead.
Okay.
I think we're having some challenges there in Uganda.
Hello?
Okay. Can you hear me, Enoch?
Uzoezie, I think let's move to
Enoch.
Mamaj, and then we'll come back to you, Enoch. We just need to stabilize.
Right. Let me go to Mamaj. Mamaj, please. I'm coming to you. I've got lots of interesting questions for you today. But before I get to them, I would love to ask you one interesting question, which what confuses many people, including me. Is there a difference between cabin crew and flight attendants, or are they the same thing essentially?
Thank you very much, Josie. Way back, like we all know, the cabin crew profession has evolved like every other profession. And way back, they were referred to as hostesses.
Hostesses, okay.
Yes, but as the profession is evolving, today they are referred to as flight attendants or cabin crew. So
right.
when you say air hostess or cabin crew or flight attendants, you're actually referring to the same profession.
All right, thanks for clearing the air. So cabin crew and flight attendant are basically the same thing.
Yes.
All right, let me go to the main question of the day. You've been running cabin crew fair in Lagos for some years now, perhaps 5-6 years. I remember I was at the first edition a few years ago. You've been also running aviation career conferences in Lagos as well. I would love to know, Mamaj, what kind of aspiring cabin crew have you been encountering? Are there still people who are genuinely passionate about this profession, or are there just those who just want to have a job in the industry and make a living? Are there still people who are genuinely passionate about this industry? Mamaj.
Okay. And to answer that question, I would say yes. We actually have two categories of aspiring cabin crew. We have those who belong to the category of those who are really passionate, genuinely passionate about the job. And then we have the second category of those that they are not really passionate about the job, but because there are no jobs out there, and then the opportunity comes their way. And then they also know that there are a lot of perks that comes with the job. So for them, it's like, why not try it? So we have those that are genuinely interested, and then we have those that are not really genuinely or passionately interested in the job, but they just want it because there are no jobs and this is an opportunity. For some, it's just like a means to an end. So
when you see such people, what's your advice to them?
Like you said, that what has been my experience, having been hosting these programs for, like, next week, I'm going to be having the cabin crew fair. That is the 4th one. So I've been having it every year. We couldn't have it last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I've had it for 4 years. And I can tell you that from my observations, I can confidently tell you that there are certain things that I have observed amongst the aspiring ones. The first observation is that the impression, the picture they have about the profession is entirely different from what it really is. It's a case of perception versus reality. So majority, what they perceive the profession as, they see the glamorous aspect of it, so glamorous, it's a job you do, it takes you to amazing places, you fly around the world, you get to meet people. That is the picture they have. But on the flip side of that glamour is hard work. It takes hard work, it takes focus, it takes determination, it takes persistence. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of qualities and skill sets and experience to be able to function well on that road. So that is something that is missing, which is one of the reasons why I have this platform, to really bring them in and let them have the clearer picture of what the profession actually entails.
All right, thank you, Joy, for the generous answer to the question. I'll have a few more questions, but let me go to Hope. I'm coming back to you in the jiffy, but let me go to Hope. Hope, are you there for me?
Yes, I am.
All right, you listen to Mamaj explain what the industry is all about, the glamour, the skills, and all of that. I'd like to ask you perhaps a personal question. You're currently studying for a diploma in digital marketing and copywriting, which is, by the way, a very nice course. I must commend you. I wish I were in your shoes. And I would like to ask you 2 questions from there. First of all, do you wish this was something you did some years ago, perhaps 15 or 20 years ago? That's the first question. Considering the circumstances. Secondly, from your experience, do you think or recommend that aspiring cabin crew should get a diploma, a degree, or some skill in some discipline before going to aviation school? You can see our aspiring cabin crew on the hot seat today, Enoch. before he went into aviation, he already had a degree in business administration, which is a good thing. But considering this context today, do you recommend that aspiring cabin crew should get a degree, diploma, or some skill in some other discipline before going to aviation school? Hope.
Thank you so much, Chidozie. Personally, yes, I actually believe that cabin crew should have some acquired skill. You know, I wish I had done this earlier. Before I joined aviation, I had the opportunity to go and study IT. But because it's ever evolving, after 16 years, what I studied back then and what is happening now are two different things. So, you know, honestly, I wish that a whole lot of young people, especially aspiring cabin crew member, would also have something to fall back on, you know, study something else, because your flying career can end in a split second. You know, you can get an injury that can stop you from flying either for a certain amount of time or even forever. And you find that that injury, you can never get back into the sky except for as a passenger. So the question becomes then, what else can you do apart from flying? You know, so whether it's an aviation degree or diploma or any kind of skill within aviation or even outside aviation, just find that thing that you really love, because I feel we all have something that we are passionate about. And that apart from flying, there is something else that one can actually do, you know, so it will take you further should anything happen to you. Or in my case, which was a sad case where we had to leave an airline due to unforeseen circumstances. I mean, a whole lot of us, we found ourselves at home. We never saw it coming. It was like a wave that came and hit us in a split second. And we all had to go back and be like, what am I good at? What am I going back to school? Am I studying business? Or am I just going to take a couple of years and try and figure it out? You know, and knowing that not all of us are good at business, some decided to go back to school. So I think a lot of us would have gone back to school earlier should we have known this would happen, or should others have known they would get injuries. So I would really recommend that they actually do.
Right.
A lot of airlines actually do give free courses as well, so they can just look into that space. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Hope. I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of people don't think for tomorrow. They think for today, because the industry is volatile and unpredictable. So it's important to equip yourself for life after cabin crew services. Thank you for that question. I'll have a few more for you. Let me go back to Enoch. I'm hoping he's back online now. Hello, Enoch, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Right, Enoch, let's go further. In Uganda, how difficult or easy is it to secure cabin crew job? What is your personal experience with securing job in Uganda? Enoch?
Thank you so much for that question. Let me answer that question with some examples as well. It's really challenging to get a job through the airline in Uganda, even though you've gone to school and studied IATA, and you've passed through all the modules, and when interviews come in, all the vacancies come, there are about 1,000 or 500 candidates that are there, and not all of them are qualified. Yeah. Not everyone is qualified for that job. We have a couple of schools in Uganda, about more than 10 aviation schools in Uganda, where most students have gone through that and have gotten the experience through training in school, and they are able to, to produce excellent customer care services, not only in cabin crew, but also other fields in the aviation industry. But you reach at the airport or the interview area, whereby they will have to bring 1,000 people. You already have a lot of frustration through that. But even some people who have not even qualified to go to the next step, that they are easily taken in, because for instance, I've taken so many application letters to Uganda Airlines, to the airport, to even ask for internship. But if you don't know any particular person who can lead you to another next level, you bring in your resume, they put it on the table on the side, and if you don't have any other person who will let you, know, who will take that letter for you to the next level, it's going to be very hard for you. So
and that must be very frustrating.
Yeah, and on top of that,
okay, so conclude, please.
And yet when you go to school and you're so passionate about what you really want to do, you put in a lot of effort and you pay a lot of money to go through school, get that experience, and now you want the hand-on experience through an airline or the airport services. And it's really challenging to get such kind of opportunity.
Right. That's actually it's very annoying and very frustrating to having gone to school and then you have to keep carrying files for days and for weeks and for months and not get a job. Why someone who is not qualified gets a job? In the course of the program, getting the path of hope and joy and see what it's like to get a job in South Africa and Nigeria, other parts of Africa. But now let me go back to Joy for a few more questions. Joy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dozie.
Right, you listened to Hope, why she was explaining why people need to get a degree before going to the aviation industry. The industry is volatile and all of that. I'd like to ask you, unlike pilots and the engineers and other aviators, the cabin crew profession is not a long-term profession in most African countries. Let me explain, Joy. There's something I call premature termination of contracts in Africa. In most parts of Africa, it doesn't happen in South Africa often, but it happens in West Africa and Central Africa. When they employ you, you're 18, you're 25, you're young, you're sexy, you're attractive, and they use you for 5 years, 10 years, they tend to dump you. In most airlines in Africa, you don't work more than 10 years or 15 years. But you look at Hope's story. She worked for South African Airways for 16 years. And she would have gone more than that if not for the pandemic and the bankruptcy problem. A couple of years ago, I was on a South African flight from Joburg to Lagos. I met a company who said he had worked with the airline for 14 years. And I was like, wow, it doesn't happen in Nigeria. Because when you work for an airline for 5 years, if it doesn't collapse, they terminate your account because you're no longer attractive, you're no longer sexy, and all of that. And in most parts of the world, in Europe and America, if you're 60 and 70, you're still flying as a cabin crew. And even in the parts of Asia, but in Africa, the younger, the better, even if you're not experienced. So I'd love to ask you, what can aspiring and even in-service cabin crew do to prepare themselves for this premature end of service as cabin crew? Because it's a very apparently you can't do anything about it. But how can we prepare the cabin crew to brace up for this premature termination of contracts? Joy.
Okay, Dozie, you and I know that one of the challenges we have in Africa here is that most of our airlines have short lifespan. So it's very difficult for us to have the data of people who have flown into their 50s or flown for more than 30 years. For example, I have worked in almost 4 airlines. I worked in 4 airlines. And if you have to put together the years I've worked in all these airlines, it's not up to actively, it's not up to 20 years. Why? Because the airlines shut down operations.
They come and go.
Yes. So it is so difficult for us to say. It's not actually, the fact is not actually that airlines are going to discard you when you are growing older. The problem we are having is that the airlines are not staying. I think some airlines will stay 5, 7 years. So we've not had an airline that has lived on for operated for like 20 years. So imagine if the airline I started with, if they were still in operations today, I'll still be there.
Could have been flying. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you can confidently say that I have put in 30 years in active flying, but today they are not there. So that is one of the challenges we are having in Africa. So it's not necessarily because we are growing old, that's why they discard you. It's because the airlines are shutting down operations. So that is one of the challenges we are having. So there's this instability in the aviation industry. In fact, way back as when I started flying, that was the first year. Imagine the excitement of coming on board, doing what I've always wanted to do. Just within the first year, my airline, they had to send their aircraft for C checks. So what that meant was that they were now overstaffed. We had more cabin crew than we required. So some of us, we had to let people go. And then they had a policy of last to come in, first to go. So naturally, we were the last set that came in, so we were going to be let off. So you cannot imagine just within 1 year of coming into the industry. So at some point, after deliberations here and there, they decided that, well, they are still going to bring in these aircraft from checks. So instead of letting us go, why not utilize us in other departments when they are ready? Because they spent time and money to train us, and they just bring us back online. So we had to be doing a month in ticketing and then back to flying a month in ticketing. That was how we're doing it until the aircraft came in. So why am I talking about this? The instability has always been there. So for the incoming cabin crew, my advice is for them to always have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, have side hustles. The good thing is that flying has flexible duty times. Yeah. So you always have extra time by the side to do other things. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have side, have other plans, A, B, C, D plans.
Right, but there is also this kind of follow-up question. There's also this thing I've noticed among Nigerian airlines. If you've worked in an airline, not just Nigerian airlines, most airlines in Africa, by the way, if you have worked in an airline for 5 years or 10 years, you have gotten a lot of experience. And if your airline collapses or whatever happens, you lose your job, and a new airline comes on board, they don't look at those old attendants. They tend to go and hire fresh ones who are not experienced. Isn't experience more important than young, looking good or looking at trade today in the airline industry, Joy? I expect that as an old cabin crew, you should have an advantage to the new cabin crew. But that's not the case. Why is that?
I won't say that is a general act amongst all the airlines. There's always a place of experience. I can tell you about most airlines are starting. Most times airlines are just starting afresh. They usually start with experienced crew because you can't go and get greenhorns and put them on board. Yeah. In the certification processes, you need to pass through the different certification stages to get your AOC. And to do that, you will need people who have experience to kickstart with. You can't go and put people who are inexperienced to go and you put them on board to go and do flights through the process, AOC process stages. They are going to mess up your operations. You are not going to, you are going to slow down the pace at which you go through that process of getting the AOC. So starting, you need those experience. So we cannot entirely discard experienced ones. However, being experienced is not enough. It's a combination of experience and competency. So I want those who are experienced to know to be competent. Being experienced, they also need the combination of being experienced and competent that will also give you access to new opportunities. So it's not just enough to be experienced. So these are things that these airlines will look at for.
Thank you for answering the question. I'm happy you did, and I'm maybe happier that it's not the number. That was the person I had, but I'm glad you cleared the air now.
It's not the norm.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm coming to my co-pilot Derek in a minute, but before I do, let me go to Hope for one more question. Hope, are you there for me? Hello?
Yes,
hello, Hope, are you there for me?
Yeah.
Right, I'm glad to have you again with me. Right, I'm going to ask this quick question. It's a short question. Beyond all the glamour and all the experience of traveling around the world, travel to New York, to London, all those destinations that are exotic, San Francisco, Perth, London, a lot of that. I'd like to know what are I'm not asking if there are downsides, I'm asking what are the downsides of being a cabin crew?
Oh, the downsides. I wish I could say there were none, but there actually is. You know, for every glamorous place you go to, there's a sacrifice that you have to make. And mainly our sacrifice, especially speaking from a personal experience, would be family. You know, you miss out on events, you miss out on your kids growing. You know, it's just, those are the main things. And you have to just learn how to create a balance. So mainly I would say those are the downsides of being a cabin crew member. The time is not yours. You know, you're in the country for about 8 days out of the 30. So you just have to, you know, make do with the little time that you have with family. And I would basically just say that is one downside.
Right. Are some of these downsides specific to the female cabin crew?
From a female cabin crew, I'd say we start off very young. Like you said to Mama J, we start off looking young, fresh and sexy, you know, and you're in your early 20s, you know, you're not even thinking of meeting Mr. or Mrs. Right at that time. And what happens is that we get into marriage or relationships, we have kids, and we end up gaining weight. Those are some of the downsides being a female cabin crew member, because you always have to maintain weight. You're expected to look a certain way. There is this perception, obviously, this mindset that has been created that a female cabin crew member has to look sexy at all times, you know? And we are from Africa. Being African, we have different body shapes. And therefore, for us to always maintain that weight, it means that you're always on constant diets, working out a lot. You know, the other downside about being a cabin crew member, especially the female, people think that you don't have ambition, you know, that you don't have goals and dreams, that you're just, I'm sorry to say this, but blonde.
Yeah.
And so when people have conversations with you, all that they ever bring, maybe it's just the destinations and everything else. And when you bring something else that, you know, is a bit insightful, then, you know, they get shocked. They're like, oh, so you basically know about the economy. You know, you know much more about 1, 2, 3. So you find that as you travel, you have to change people's perception about the industry that we know, we study, we watch the news, you know, and we also are like you. The only difference is that we spend more time in the sky and in destinations than at home. So I think Mama J would definitely agree with me on that note, that, you know, it's mainly about perception and also how we look that tends to put pressure.
All right, thank you for that. So if you're listening to us from whatever you're listening to us from, you need to understand that flying is not just about the glamour and the excitement. There are prices to pay, there are sacrifices to be made. So you need to think about this before you go into the profession. And on that note, I hand over controls to my co-pilot, Derek. Derek, you have controls now. Over to you.
I thought I'd never speak, Chidozie. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much. And just from what Hope was saying, I think the simple solution, guys, is find your partner before you get the job and lock them in. Get married before you get. Yeah.
Is that what she said? Is that what she said?
It seems like the only solution from what she said.
Perhaps that's what I heard.
Yeah. So I actually want to turn this conversation around a bit, because we had some really harsh realities of the job search from Enoch. We got a cautionary tale of, you know, the reality of actually the potential of losing your job without any backup plan. We got, you know, a very stern caution as well from Mama J, you know. So I feel like we might have lost a few flight attendants in the last few minutes. So let's try and win them back. Hope.
Yeah.
Tell me, how would you sell this career? Why should it be the preferred choice and journey? Sitting here, I'm more than happy to tell people that you'd rather be a pilot because it's the coolest of them all. How you know, why should they be cabin crew?
Well, I would say it broadens, you know, it broadens one's horizons. You know, you in a new place each and every day. you get to explore. And I honestly have to say, travel changes a lot of things because you learn about different cultures. You start understanding the meaning of Ubuntu as you travel, and you're like, and appreciating exactly where you come from, you know? So for me, I'd say, you know what, do this. It's a beautiful career. I would urge every young person to, once in their life, leave their comfort zone, go out there and see that the world is actually so small and it's actually your oyster. You don't have to be scared to go out there and actually, you know, experience new things. So this is a brilliant career for that. The other thing, Derek, is that as you travel, you tend to meet different kind of people, influential people. You make so many connections, you know. So as you're doing that, you turn to learn so much from all those other people, and they make you want to become a better person as well, you know, from whether it's politicians to other people that you tend to meet. But it always challenges you because no two flights are the same. So, you know, young people, Enoch, believe you me, this is one journey you would really enjoy, you know, doing and taking.
I totally agree with you. You know, this traveling definitely changes your perception on life. And I tend to find that people who are more traveled treat the world around them and people around them in a very different way, simply because they are much more exposed. So I totally agree with you. But tell me, so right now, someone has decided that, you know what, this is the career for me. What are the practical steps? You know, where do they go? Who do they approach? You know, how do you take the steps to become a cabin crew, and how do you follow through to get into the cockpit? Rather in the cabin, forgive me.
Yeah, in the cabin and the cockpit.
You don't belong in the cockpit.
Give me, the view is always better in the cockpit. I'd say find a good aviation school, register and get your cabin crew license, you know, but do your research, because some of these schools are actually not reputable. So make sure that you really do your research and you get a good school, get that license and start applying. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't tell yourself, I want to work for only Ugandan Airlines, or I want to work for Ethiopian Airlines or Kenyan Airways. Apply everywhere across the world, because like Mama Jay said, with the aviation industry in Africa taking such a knock, you have to expand, you know, your mind and expand yourself, and just make sure that you apply at Emirates, apply with Qatar, because currently they're the ones that are actually recruiting a lot. And just give yourself that, and also apply with charter airlines, but be patient with yourself as well. And for each and every no, just know that, you know what, there is someone else wanting who will say a yes. So don't be too hard on yourself. It also doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And that is one thing I've actually learned. It's just that sometimes you find that they are looking for something a little different, you know. So apply and reapply. And you never know, just that one time might just be your lucky one. Yeah.
How do you identify a school? Because you know, from my experience, especially because I'm coming from the flight crew background, I find a lot of people abroad. You know, I came from a different country myself, and I came here to train. I don't see a lot of people coming from different countries to do cabin crew schools, say in South Africa or whatever. Is it that there's a lot of you know, good cabin crew training facilities all over Africa? How do you even tell? Because you did tell us that some of the schools might not be advisable to go to. How do you tell the difference?
You know, okay, I believe all of them have to be registered. You know, they have to be obviously registered, I think, with CAA, if I stand corrected. And, you know, from what I've seen personally is that, for example, at SAA, some of our ex-cabin crew members went and, you know, opened up schools, and they merged with other trainers as well. And if you went to CAA, you would actually find them on the list. You know, there was say, yes, we have such and such a school and such a school. And I've had instances where I've had young people stopping me and saying, I studied for this and this and that. And when I went to CAA, they said they couldn't find the school on the system, you know. So make that call, email CAA, I guess, and just do your background checks, you know, ask other cabin crew members as well, or other people that are in aviation that you know of. And if you don't, just take that one extra step. I think now technology has made it easy for us. You can actually just go on Google, you know, and just Google search, and it'll give you all the credentials of the school. So I think that's how they should just all go about it, instead of just finding that it's a fly-by-night school.
Very good advice there. Thank you so much, Hope. I'm going to move to you, Mamaj, now, and especially as an expert on this subject. And I'm borrowing this from Enoch's experience that is going through now. I don't know what gives you the competitive edge, because you tend to find that some people are getting into airlines without the qualification. Some people go get the qualification on their own and still cannot find jobs. My initial question was that, are there any specific qualities, you know, that people are looking at that perhaps transcend even the, you know, the actual qualification, you know? What qualities are these? I know back in the day we had all these stereotypes about cabin crew. They still exist, you know. We imagined it was a female profession. You know, we always looked at it, and especially the girls who see themselves as beautiful, they saw themselves as flight attendants because they fit that specific stereotype as well. So what are these qualities, if they do exist? And tell me, what gives someone the competitive edge in getting into an airline?
Thank you so much. I will start by saying that those who are intending to become cabin crew professionals, they need access to information. Like I tell people, if you do not have the right information before you delve into anything, it's like you are just moving around in the dark. So it's very key that you arm yourself with the right information before you take any step. Like Hope just said, before you attend any school, you have to find out if it's certified by the CAA of that country. So now, there are a lot of people who take steps without the necessary information. I think that is a gap that I identified, which I'm trying to close with the various platforms that I've created. So now let's start with the qualities. I hear a lot of people say, Mamaj, my dream is to become a cabin crew. I'm passionate about it. It's something that I love. It's my hobby to travel around the world. Sadly, it's not enough for you to just have that dream. It's not enough for you to have it as a hobby. There are qualities, there are skill sets and experiences that will just give you the edge over others. Because whether we like it or not, it's becoming very, very competitive. Whatever you think you have today, other people have it. If you say you're a graduate, there are thousands of graduates out there. If you say you are beautiful, there are also thousands of people who are equally as beautiful as you are. So whatever you think you have, there are so many people that also have it. So what is going to give you the edge? It starts with one, you need to ask yourself some questions. Do you have the quality? Do you meet the qualities? Just like I mentioned earlier on, there's more to the glamour that people see. Behind that glamour, you need to have some qualities. Now, let me start with, are you tolerant? Can you tolerate people? Do you have that capacity to watch people talk down at you without you being able to respond like you would have loved to? Do you have that? I have a friend today who tells me that, oh, she actually loved this profession, but she realized that she was so short-tempered and she knew that she was going to get into trouble once she was in the profession. So that was why she didn't attempt it at all. So you need to ask yourself questions. Do I have the qualities? Am I tolerant? Am I friendly? Am I courteous? Am I hospitable? Am I warm? Am I receptive? Do I show empathy to others? Am I customer oriented? So these are questions that you need. These are the qualities, some of the qualities that you need to have that will give you an edge over others. Because like I said, there are thousands of people who are also jostling for the same job that you're jostling for. So there must be something that stands you out. So do you have these qualities? And then also, if you take me to the skill sets, do you have the skill sets? Are you multitasking? Do you have good team spirit? Because the profession is a profession that you find yourself continuously working in teams with others. It's not a job you do on your own. And these are people you might not necessarily like. They might not like you, but you just have to work with them. So do you have good team spirit? Can you do, I hear people say, I can't do so many things at the same time. Then if you do not have that skill of multitasking, doing many things at the same time, that means you can't fit into this job. So can you multitask? Do you have problem-solving skills? Do you have initiative? Because you're going to be operating in a confined space. And once you take off, you're up there, you're going to have to make use of the available resources that we have within that cabin. Now, how can you think out of the box? Do you have that? And then also, what else will give you the edge? What is your educational qualifications? Just like Hope mentioned, now you need to, way back in my time, just having a school cert was enough qualification. But today, 90% of airlines in Nigeria will require that you are a graduate. So are you a graduate? So these are some of the things that you will need that will give you an edge over others. So the second part of what he mentioned, talking about who you know. Yes, we cannot completely rule out the role of who you know. Like talking about your network being your net worth. Like I keep telling people, sometimes who you know can determine how soon you can have access to a job opportunity. When I say who you know, what do I mean now? There are a lot of people that know me. There are a lot of people that reach out to me. And so when I have job information, I always pass it out to them. So XYZ Airline is recruiting, apply. Meanwhile, before you apply, this is what you need to do. How do you apply? How do you package your applications? Do you follow the deadline? Recently, somebody reached out to me. He's a Nigerian. He said he's always wanted to give back to the society. So, but he knows that he is a pilot, but he has realized that it's very expensive. The pilot course is very expensive. However, he can just start from somewhere, maybe give out 2 scholarships to cabin crew every year. But they have to pass through the process to get these 2 scholarships. And I was very, very happy. I was like, wow, because I know a lot of people are having challenges with funding. So, and I said, I put it out there. There were guidelines. Do you know that a lot of them did not follow the guidelines? Everything that was stated there in black and white, they did not follow it. So eventually they missed out. They missed out on the scholarship because the person was really not impressed, was actually disappointed. So there are so many things that will give you an edge. But if you are not ready to put in the effort, put in the work, and even know about them in the first place, have an idea of what it takes, what I require, then ask yourself, truthfully ask yourself, do I meet these qualities? Do I have these skills? And do I have any form of experience that will give me an added advantage? So a combination of all this is what will give you that edge. So talking about knowing somebody is not compulsory that you must know somebody. That if everybody was to know somebody before they got a job, then I will tell you that 60% of people who are working today wouldn't be working. So there's a place of knowing somebody, but there's also a place of you being qualified, competent, and also doing what is right to take you from the point A that you are currently to point B. So that is what I have to say about this. So it's not always in every case that you must know somebody. Sometimes just put in your application.
So it's really a bit of everything, to be honest. I totally agree with you. You can have the network and not have the qualification. You can have the qualification, not have the network, or whatever else. You know, it's about bringing the whole package together. And something else that just came up as you're speaking, especially that airlines tend to recruit and train. Is it even necessary to go to a training institution for your cabin crew? Would you advise someone to simply go to the training institution or go and apply to the airline first? Because they do have these programs as well. Isn't it, doesn't it sometimes end up being a waste of money going through this training first?
Okay, I won't say it's a waste of money, because one of my bosses in aviation, Captain Dele, will say, it's better for you to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it. So that is why I advise people that if they have the funds, I would advise that they go and get the training. In my time, airlines will actually hire you and then train you. But today, we all know that the cost of operations is going higher every day. And so sometimes airlines will try to look at ways at reducing costs. So if I already have those who are trained already, it's going to reduce my cost. So why would I, if you have to put side by side, those are already trained, licensed, and those are not trained at all, why would I go for the ones that are yet to be trained? Why not go for the ones that are trained already? Then we also have another scenario whereby airlines recruit based on needs. At every point in time, they have needs. Okay, right now, we need to hire some cabin crew members, and we do not have time, because for you to bring in a fresh cabin crew, it's going to take you nothing less than 3 months, putting them through training, the time they will have to go and write the CA exams, and up to the time they get their licenses out, going through the indoctrination training, going for the line training and checks and all that. Just find out that it might take up to 3-4 months to bring them online. Okay, now, if the airlines need is, they are expecting an aircraft next month and they need crew members to put on board as soon as possible, they would rather go for those that are already trained and licensed, because it's going to take a shorter time to bring them online. It's just going to take like 1 week for conversion or refresher training, and then indoctrination. Within 1 month, they put them on board. So airlines recruit based on need, and at every particular time, that would determine if they are going to go for those that are already trained and licensed or those that haven't been trained at all. This is not to say that if you do not have the license already, you do not start it a chance at all, because there are actually airlines that will prefer to take them fresh, train them according to their standard, according to their culture in the airline, rather than take those that have been trained in different schools that have different orientations. So basically, it depends on airlines' needs at every point in time. So if you ask me, I would advise that if you have the funds, you go get the training and get your license. It's better for you to have the license and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Absolutely. You never know when you fit the profile, and really timing is everything. Yeah. So when they come calling, you have to be ready. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Maybe I should ask you this, but if I've gone through, everything, I've ticked all the boxes, I'm qualified as a cabin crew, but I'm looking around and there's no opportunities. Is there anything I can do to help myself? Is there any further skilling that I can give myself? Are there any lower end kind of opportunities in the sector? I know a lot of pilots go and they do bush flying. There's all this form of general aviation. You go fly caravans, or you can be an instructor. There's opportunities at the lower end. What is what's the way to go if you're struggling to put your foot into the industry? Is there any options?
Well, unfortunately for us, cabin crew, we can't just get into the jet somewhere in the bushes and start serving tea or coffee. Yeah. So this is where the part of reinventing yourself comes in. And I say that, do either the short courses, take short courses, do a diploma on the side, a degree, keep yourself busy, study something, because also what you do while you're in waiting counts a lot. That's one thing I've realized. You might have done the cabin crew member's license, and only to find that you are now doing something else, let's say like myself, digital marketing, and an opportunity opens in that very airline for digital marketer or a content writer, you know? So you find that it is your way of getting into the airline, even though it's not exactly how you wanted it, you know, as cabin crew. So I say to them, instead of just sitting and only also just applying, you know, study something else. Study, whether it's in aviation, like I said, study something different, because while that is the one thing that can actually lead you into that very same airline that you want to be in.
Awesome, awesome. John, do we still have time to shoot more questions? I'm going to pass the baton on to Chidozie. It looks like he's got something to say.
Yeah, 10 minutes, guys. So back to you, Dozie.
Right. Quickly, let me go back to Joy. We've got only 10 minutes, so I'll give you 3 minutes each. Right, Joy, a couple of years ago, I was on a flight from, well, I won't mention the route or the airline, so I don't get angry emails. So I was on a flight, and during the cruise, I asked a cabin crew what the captain. Can you hear me, Joy?
I can hear you loud and clear.
So I was on a flight. During the cruise, I asked, it was an international flight. So during the cruise, I asked one of the cabin crew what the captain's name was. And he said he didn't know what the captain's name was.
Wow.
I didn't know how to feel, whether to feel shocked or sad or disappointed. So, but I've been trying to process that thing. How could he not know what the name of his captain was? So I'm going to ask you, how much details about a flight are the cabin crew crewing that flight supposed to know? For instance, are they supposed to know about the crew's names, the flight route, the fuel load, the weather forecast, and all of that? So what exactly are they supposed to know about their flight?
Okay, Dozie, that is surprising and quite disturbing for me.
Yeah.
Because it just shows that the crew did not do a pre-flight brief before they went on board that flight. Because before every flight, the porter is supposed to have a pre-flight briefing with the crew. And some of the information that the porter is supposed to pass around includes the operating crew members, flight deck, and the crew members, their names, destination, number of passengers expected, the weather conditions, number of meals expected on board. In fact, it's a detailed briefing. So if a crew goes on board and the crew does not even know the name of the pilot on board, that means they did not do a pre-flight briefing before they proceeded on board that flight. So that is unacceptable and very, very unprofessional.
Right. A follow-up question there. These days, we hear that babies are brought on board by the cabin crew, even without the aid of nurses or doctors on board. And some airlines these days have dedicated nannies and butlers on board. Some airlines even teach their cabin crew how to do taekwondo and karate skills. I'm going to have to ask you, do you think cabin crew schools across Africa should update their curriculum and teaching methods to reflect the current realities? Because these days you have many cases of unruly passengers, terrorism. So do you think cabin crew in Africa should actually learn how to get all these skills, taekwondo, karate, or some skills how to restrain another passenger on board? Do they need, apart from the soft skills, do they need to acquire some hard skills? Joy.
Dozie, actually, we do all that. In fact, as way back as 2005, we've been doing trainings. We have security trainings. We are trained on how to de-escalate crisis on board. We are trained on how to carry out first aid on board, even vet babies on board. Although our first line of call is to page for the medical personnel on board the flight. But in the absence of that, we have been trained to carry out first aid measures on board. So it's not the trainings. If you look at some of the trainings internationally, locally, we have almost the same trainings. So we can stand side by side with crew members that have been trained abroad. So whatever training they are giving to them today, they also put us through the same training here. So we have security training, we have the training in first aid and managing abusive passengers on board. We all have all that training. We do here. We have it.
Okay, so I don't think there's anything cabin crew schools in Africa should do. There's no update, nothing new to reflect current realities. Is there nothing they can do? Like if be asking, can they go over and teach something extra that prepares this cabin crew for the life after cabin crew?
Of course, like they say, the most dynamic thing in life is change, and change will always come whether we like it or not. And the industry is evolving, and we have to also wake up and align with the new normal, I'll call it, because there are so many things that are happening today. In my time as a cabin crew, it was a no-no. So, but we are having them, we see them happening today. So it's for us to now align with the new norm that are also okay for the safety and comfort of the passengers, because that is our
Hello, can you hear me, Joy? Hello?
Our key reasons. Make sure that whatever decisions we do, whatever actions we take on board, the interest of passengers is key. So,
all right.
I agree that we have to also adjust, see how we can review, update our curriculum and training methodologies and all that.
All right, thank you very much for Joy for the generous question, generous answer. I will still be handing over controls to the captain, John Howell, for the quiz. I can see some of the guests already itching for the quiz. Musa Ojo said he can't wait to present the quiz. But let's go to Hope now and Enoch for the last questions. Hope, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, quickly, a minute or two. Considering the circumstances, unpleasant circumstances surrounding how you ended your career at African Airways, which is very unpleasant, do you think there are still strong prospects of employment and the job security for aspiring cabin crew in Africa? Basically, what's your advice and encouragement to those who aspire to become cabin crew today and tomorrow with respect to job security and employment opportunities? A minute or two.
Okay. So looking at the prospects of employment within aviation, especially for cabin crew in Africa, I have to say that looking at the trends, across board in Africa, I see a whole lot of airlines starting up, and they might be starting off slowly, but I see a whole lot of airlines starting up. And I think the up and coming crew members still have a chance. They shouldn't lose hope at all. They still have a chance, because it's only a few that have actually, shut down, only a few that have actually retrenched. But also when they have retrenched, we must never also forget that, to reinvent themselves, they're also going to need about 2 to 3 years, maybe approximately, to do that, So in the 2 to 3 years, a lot can happen. They can start all over again, start recruiting. 5 new airlines can start again, so they mustn't lose hope. I always say for every takeoff and for every landing, it screams hope, for whoever's in aviation, that someday I shall be on that aircraft again, so yeah, there is.
I mean, that's amazing. That's so heartwarming. So if you're listening to Hope, there is no loss of hope. If you're not working today, tomorrow could be your day. So go out there, pursue your dream, and do what makes you happy. Don't lose hope. I'm so happy you said that, Hope. Thank you so much. Your name is Hope, so it must be very helpful.
Thank you.
All right, I'm coming back to you, Enoch. Are you there for me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Enoch, can you hear me, Enoch?
Yes, Captain.
Right. All right, in a minute or two. Okay, what do you think governments can do to help aspiring cabin crew achieve their dreams of becoming successful in their careers? For instance, do you think Uganda Airlines should order 20 Boeing 787 to accommodate people like you?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I would be super excited to be on board Uganda Airlines. And on top of that, what I would suggest the government to do, or the airlines to do as well, to sign a memorandum of understanding with some of the schools that are registered with IATA qualification, that have education through school and hands-on experience on board the aircraft.
Is that all would you suggest they do? Do you think they can help in terms of training and yeah, in terms of training and job opportunities? What do you think they can do? If you were in the place of Uganda government, what would you do?
First and foremost, I would give an first opportunity to people who have gone to school for that qualification, because being passionate, but you're not putting in the hard work to go for what you really want to do and get the education for it, you not be competitive in the industry. So I would urge the government to to first give the first hand to the people who are qualified to get trained, and the people who have passed highly that are recruited. So that will be kind of a competition, to also boost the competition in the training schools as well, because you're working hard, you have to pass, and then that needs for you to concentrate and be confident on your job.
All right, Enoch, thank you for your honest answer. I'm so glad you said that. I'm amazingly thankful to our panelists, Joy, Ogbebo, Mamaj. Each time you call her, she answers. Mamaj, before I let you go, you have an event coming up next week or so. Can you sell your event in 30 seconds? Sell your market to us, please.
Okay, there will be a cabin crew fair holding next week Saturday at the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority Annex after Fan Training School at International Airport. Registration is free. The portal is out there and is open. Please click and register for free. It's a platform for you to meet with those who are in the industry, professionals in the industry, meet with the certified training organizations. There's going to be scholarship for aspiring cabin crew, and there are also other things that you'll be taking home on that day, free tickets. So why not register? It's absolutely free. If I were you and I'm aspiring, that is where I should be on Saturday.
I'll start charging you now. That time is up. All right, thank you so much, Mamaj, for answering our call. Hope, please, can you tell us about your new travel agency? Your clients might be on our timeline. 30 seconds, Hope.
Alrighty, so I am Hope Travels, and we do basically local, meaning South Africa local, and also international Africa bookings. We are also Disney Cruise certified, Voyager and Norwegian Cruise Airlines. Norwegian Cruise Lines, not airlines, cruise lines. Also do destination weddings. So for anybody that wants to be anywhere around the world, they can contact me on www.evotravelagent.com/Hope Travels, and we can just do a booking for you, and you can enjoy your festive somewhere else.
I understand you have a presence in USA. Is that right?
Pardon?
Are you in USA? I understand you have your USA. Is that right?
Yes. My agency is actually registered both in South Africa and in the US. The guys that are actually behind it, Evolution Travels, they are actually based in California. Yeah. All
right, that's beautiful. I would love to hand over to my other crew members now. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Enoch, for answering our call.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
When we call next time, do answer us, please.
Thank you, man.
I don't want to get sanctioned by the council. Let me hand over. I don't want to get sanctioned by the council. Let me hand over the controls to Captain John and the Senior First Officer Derek. Over to you now. Have controls, guys.
I have control, Dozie. Thank you so much. Wow, what an amazing hour. I mean, massive round of applause from over here, and we can do that, but I'm sure our audience has been super engaged. There's been some fantastic comments and interactions. I think we definitely have your fan club in the house, Mamaj, so I'm definitely a signed up member. and you've got lots of positive messages coming through. So I've shared a link to your website, and obviously same for you, Hope. If you want to pop your website in the chat, then people can find you. And same for all of you, really. Any connections that you've got, if you want to put your Facebook profile or your LinkedIn profile, people can connect with you and continue the conversation. In terms of my takeaways, we're going to get into the quiz now, but I love what Hope said. You know, travel broadens the mind. I couldn't agree with it more. It's an amazing privilege to be able to travel, and it makes you who you are as you grow older. Side hustles, brilliant. I mean, you're doing it, you're living it, Hope. And I think, you know, this is what Enoch's doing at the moment. He's got to work at what he's working at, hoping for that. And I love your cushions there as well, Enoch. Very Uganda colors, I noticed as well, which is good. You've got the red and the yellow, so excellent. Excellent. I did spot that. So everybody will be very happy. I think on a more serious note, you know, as Hope outlined and as Mamaj did, it's a tough life. So if you're interested in this, it's not all glamour, it's hard work. It's long hours, it's unsociable. You've got to be tolerant. That was the word that Mamaj, I've seen it on planes. Hopefully I'm not one of those passengers, but there are very difficult people sometimes, and you have to appreciate what they're going through as well. The other thing that gives us hope, and we talked about the future, it's about what you can do off the back of this as well. I mean, I think the three of us here, and I'm sure lots of people in the audience know Rafilwe Ledwaba's story, and there's quite a few stories like this. She started as cabin crew, became a pilot, started flying helicopters for the South African police force, is now a drone pilot. She does amazing things. You can progress as well. You can start, hey, I'm going to come in at cabin crew and see whether you want to go and do something else. That's one way of future-proofing you, I suppose, but it's again the same problem. It's expensive, etc.